Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. In this video, you're checking out 3 easy builds for the Stam Necromancer class in the Elder Scrolls Online, now updated for the Greymoor chapter. And these builds are designed to get you from level 1 all the way to level 50 and even beyond that, with easy to get gear and simple bar setups. Again, 3 setups total, so we'll be checking out the two-handed build, a dual-wield focus build, and then a really fun bow build. So let's jump right into it. So first, let's talk about the basics, starting with your race options for the Stam Necromancer. I would say Orc and Dark Elf will be probably your top 2 options when it comes to pushing out as much damage as possible. Khajiit has a nice balance between those. Finally, Nord and Imperial are good options as well. Nord has better defense, Imperial has some nice stats and cost reduction. Then checking out the food and drink options, I would recommend Dubious Cameron Throne #1, just for the extra stamina sustain. Bewitched Sugar Skulls is also a good option for the extra max Magicka. We do have some Magicka abilities on the Necromancer class. For Mundus Stones, the 2 best options, I think. #1, the Lover is going to be great for solo play. And then #2, the Shadow, if you're more group-oriented for this setup. Then finally, attribute points, 64 points into stamina, 0 points into Magicka, and 0 points into health. Talking about sets next, let's go over what I think is the best beginner option. We're using 2 5-piece sets. First, the Armor of the Trainee. This is all of our stats, health, stamina, and Magicka. Lots of stats, really good, especially for soloing. And then combining this with Spriggan's Thorns, Spriggan's is a great all-around damage set, both for PvE and PvP. The extra penetration on the 5-piece will let you do even more damage. Now, for more details on these sets and the other ones, definitely check out the 10 best starter gear sets video that I put up on the channel recently. There's more information on where to farm those sets, including specific quests that will get you those items. Finally, if you're looking for something a little bit different, I can also recommend Venomous Smite and Eternal Vigor, both from the Greymoor chapter. These are actually great new overland sets. Smite gives you a lot of extra damage, including that poison proc on the 5-piece set. Very powerful, even in PvP. And then Eternal Vigor for the extra health and extra recoveries. That's going to be really strong as well. Again, all of these sets are designed to be easy to pick up. You can just farm overland zones yourself. So jumping into the first build, let's talk about the two-hand and bow setup. This is just a great all-around setup for both PvE and PvP. Starting with our spammable skills, Dizzy Swing and Brawl are both from the two-handed skill line. Dizzy Swing is going to be our single target spammable. It also puts your enemy off balance. Remember, you can heavy attack them to restore extra resources. And then Brawler for the damage shield, especially strong against multiple enemies. And then Blighted Blastbones from the Gravelord skill line. This does amazing damage, though it does take about 3 seconds for the skill to go off. That's why you want to combine this with your two-handed skills. Then for AoE skills, like I mentioned, Brawler is very important. You can also mix in Reverse Slice. That's the last skill that you get in the two-handed skill line for extra execute damage. Blastbones, of course, puts out tons of AoE damage. And then Endless Hail is going to be on our back bar for the extra damage from our bow. Dot skills, Endless Hail is important. As we mentioned, also Detonating Siphon from the Gravelord skill line. That's the last skill you get there. That's a very strong AoE and dot combined, though you do need a corpse on the ground for that to work. For buffs, we've got Rally Beckoning Armor to increase your resistance, Spirit Guardian for the damage reduction and the heal. Camouflage Hunter from the Fighters Guild skill line gives us 2 buffs for the price of 1. It's Minor Berserk, as well as our Major Savagery 10% weapon critical. Make sure you pick that up. Finally, I would recommend Necrotic Potency. This gives you extra ultimate regen, great for when you're farming enemies. For heals, we have tons of options on the Stam Necro, including Rally, our two-handed burst heal. Spirit Guardian, going to provide a nice heal over time, as will Mortal Coil. Mortal Coil also gives you stamina, by the way. And of course, Echoing Vigor if you want a PvP for that skill. Finally, the ultimates for the Necromancer class are very strong. I would recommend Pestilent Colossus on the front bar, Ravenous Goliath on the back bar. Speaking of the bar setup, here's just a sample to get you started. On the front bar, the main hand 2H, I'd recommend the Spriggan's Maul if you can get that. We've got Brawler, Camo Hunter, Blastbones, Dizzying Swing, Rally, and then Colossus. On the back bar bow, we've got Mortal Coil, Endless Hail, Necrotic Potency, Beckoning Armor, Spirit Guardian, and the Ravenous Goliath ultimate. For the important passives, Necromancers have actually a lot of really good passives, so it's hard to come up with this list, but these are probably the most important overall. Death Knell from the Gravelord skill line. This gives you extra critical damage when the enemy is low health. Last Gasp as well, this gives you extra health. Undead Confederate gives you extra recoveries as long as you have your Spirit Mender active. And then reusable parts for the cost reduction on your Blast Bones is actually really nice. Then we got two-handed passives, Balanced Blade and Forceful. I think those are probably the best to pick up first. Balanced Blade for the cost reduction, then Forceful for the extra splash damage. And then finally we have medium armor passives. You do want to build for medium armor if you can for the extra damage. Windwalker gives you good cost reduction, Agility gives you weapon damage, and Dexterity gives you bonus critical. The second build on our list is going to be the dual wield and bow setup. I would say equally strong to the 2H, and maybe even a little bit stronger in PvP, especially when you look at the AoE skills. Starting with our spammable though, you have two options from the dual wield skill line. Bloodthirst is going to be a great early option because it also heals you. And then Shrouded Daggers, which you get later on in the dual wield skill line. This does some splash damage to enemies nearby, and it also gives you Major Brutality, increasing your weapon damage. Combine that with Blast Bones, that's a lot of AoE potential. And speaking of AoE, two additional abilities from the dual wield skill line are very strong in this department. Whirling Blades does a massive amount of AoE damage and execute damage. And then Quick Cloak is also an AoE that gives you some extra damage mitigation. Combine that with Blast Bones and Endless Hail for absolutely insane damage potential. For our dot skills, we got the usual Endless Hail, and then Detonating Siphon is always an option. For buffs, we mentioned Shrouded Daggers does provide Major Brutality. That's going to be very important for increasing your weapon damage. We still have Beckoning Armor for the resistances, got the Spirit Guardian for the extra damage reduction and healing, and Necrotic Potency for the ultimate. For heals, the Spirit combined with the heal from Bloodthirst is actually pretty powerful. If you're going to go that route, I do recommend picking up the Echoing Vigor heal from PvP Alliance War just for some extra heals over time. We're going to go with the same ultimates for this one. Pestilent Colossus on the front bar and Goliath on the back bar. For our bar setup, on the main hand, our dual wield. We're going to start with Whirling Blades, then Camo Hunter, Blast Bones, Bloodthirst, and Quick Cloak with the Pestilent Colossus ultimate. Back bar will still be the bow, very similar setup here. Like we said, Echoing Vigor for a nice extra heal, combined with Endless Hail, Necrotic Potency, Beckoning Armor, and Spirit Guardian. Still got Ravenous Goliath for the ultimate. Under important passives, I still feel like Death Knell, Last Gasp, Undead Confederate, and Reusable Parts, those are probably your top four. That's where you want to spend your points first. Dual Wield obviously has its own passives. Controlled Fury is the cost reduction for Dual Wield, so I think that's important to pick up first. And then Twin Blade and Blunt, this is actually excellent because it gives you bonuses depending on the type of weapon you use. For example, if you have two daggers, you can have up to 10% bonus critical on your build, which is really nice. Same thing in terms of medium armor passives. We want Windwalker, Agility, and Dexterity. And our final build for the Stam Necro is going to be the bow focus build. Probably my favorite. It's a lot of fun to play. We've also got two-hand on the back bar for the extra heal. Starting off with our main spammable skill. It's going to be Focused Aim from the bow skill line. This does very good single target damage. Remember, you can combine this with Blast Bones. Basically, summon your Blast Bones and then hit your enemy with 2 focused aims. That's going to do a ton of damage in 3 seconds. In terms of AoE, not quite as strong as the dual wield setup, but still some good options here with Bombard from the bow skill line. This is especially powerful against multiple enemies because it does upfront damage and then roots them in place. You can then drop down your Endless Hail, hit them with a couple of Blast Bones. That'll do pretty significant damage. As usual for dots, we do have Endless Hail and Detonating Siphon as an option. You can also mix in Poison Injection. That's very strong single target damage from the bow skill line. For our buffs, we have the usual Armor, Spirit Guardian, and Necrotic Potency, but I've added in Rally on the back bar. This is going to be very nice if you're soloing or for PvP, because Rally does give you that extra damage buff, Major Brutality. We also have Rally up for the heal section because we get a nice burst heal from Rally as well. Finally, on the bow setup, I do still recommend Pestilent Colossus. And either Ravenous Goliath or Ballista, depending on what you want to do. Ballista can be especially strong for single target damage, though you do need to be level 50 in your bow skill to pick that up. Now for our bar setup, the main hand bow, we're going to have Bombard, Camo Hunter, Blast Bones, Focused Aim, Endless Hail, and then the Pestilent Colossus. For the back bar, two-hand Mortal Coil, Rally, Necrotic Potency, Beckoning Armor, Spirit Guardian, and then Ravenous Goliath. For the important passives, very similar to our dual wield and 2H setups, except you want to focus on your bow passives. Obviously, my top two for that is going to be Ranger, Ranger is your cost reduction passive in the bow skill line. And then Hawkeye actually stacks a lot of damage based on your light attack. So basically weave in a light attack between every ability on your front bar. You'll be getting an extra 20 to 25% bonus damage on that focus aim, which is absolutely huge. Same thing in terms of medium armor passives. We want Windwalker, Agility, and Dexterity. All right, everybody, and with that, that's going to wrap up our 3 basic Stam Necro builds for the Elder Scrolls Online. If you guys like this one, as always, don't forget to crush that like button. It absolutely helps out the channel. If you're new here and you'd like to see more videos like this, don't forget to hit that subscribe button with notifications turned on so you don't miss anything. We've got several other beginner builds and guides over on the website now, so make sure you check that out, hacktheminotaur.com. And if you'd like to support this channel further, there's links to my social media down below, as well as that juicy join button. Click on that to learn more about becoming a channel member. As always, thank you all so much for watching. I'll have a little bit more gameplay here at the end in case you want to check out more of the build. And until next time, I hope you're doing well, stay safe, and I will see you around in the next video.